Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Morrowind. We're continuing where we left off last time. Unfortunately, this recording that I have is still, like I was talking about last time, I still lost all the audio that I had when I was playing, so I'm sort of doing this commentary after the fact again. That will change next time. Next time it'll be back to live. But for now, this is unfortunately what we've got. So I believe the last time what we did was we found that magic ring that I was looking for. The Mentor's Ring. And so, what I believe, if I recall, what I end up doing in this video is basically joining the Fighters Guild and starting off with some of those quests. So we're getting into some quests and some story. Although we're not going to be starting on the main quest probably for a while. So we're making our way back to Satanine. Like I said, we just got the ring, which actually isn't terribly useful for us as since I'm playing a warrior, basically. The ring is willpower and intelligence, which are basically magic attributes, but no worries. We're gonna go ahead and sell some stuff. Again, always using the unhinging scrolls to kind of balance out if we're selling too much. We go ahead and get rid of all these potions too. Generally, the potions that I will keep in my inventory are health restore, invisibility is always useful in a pinch. In fact, I think I used that last episode. Levitation, until I get either a levitation enchanted item or a levitation spell that's reliable. And cure common disease, because later on you're going to start to encounter some diseased creatures, and they can actually give you diseases which will basically just lower your stats. There are some other negative effects too, I think, but the main ones are they just lower your stats. That's another thing you can get a spell for, but since like I said, I'm playing a warrior and I haven't really done anything with magic yet. Even if I were to buy a cure common disease spell, it probably wouldn't be very effective. I'm keeping the I'm going to be keeping all the books in the 36 Lessons of Vivek series. All the ones that I can find anyway. There are multiple copies of some of them, but as I've said before, they're kind of like a set, or I think I said before. It's possible that I said that before when I was recording, so it did not in fact get recorded. But anyway, they're kind of like a series. There are 36 of them, obviously, and all of them are skill books, meaning that when you read them, they'll increase some skill.
Listening.
So now it's time to go to Balmora, which is basically the first big city that you will encounter if you're just kind of playing through the game normally. This is the Silt Strider, which is one means of fast travel. I don't think I've really talked about fast travel yet. Now, in Oblivion, as most of you probably know, you can just fast travel anywhere you've already been just by clicking it on the map. Well, in Morrowind there is fast travel, but you have to take certain services. Like this thing is called the Silt Strider, and it can take you to certain areas, and then there are ships that can take you to certain areas, and there are also mages that can like sort of teleport you to different areas. So basically you're going to be able to fast travel from the bigger cities to the bigger cities, so you can't just you know, travel to a dungeon out in the middle of nowhere. You're probably going to have to just try and find the city that's closest to it and then go from there. And to be honest, I actually kind of like this better than in Oblivion. The reason being that it really encourages exploration, and you kind of I guess the world just feels more immersive. You know, in Oblivion you've got the quest markers and you've got the fast travel, and it's really like you really feel encouraged to just kind of rush through the missions as quickly as you can, and just there's not a lot of room for exploring. I mean, yeah, you can go and explore, but it feels like you're not really encouraged to do that. In Morrowind, as we will see, especially this episode and the next one, because I do actually have the next one recorded already. I was saying, in Morrowind, you'll find that a lot of times you'll be doing a quest and you'll get kind of sidetracked. You'll find a dungeon, or you'll find another NPC who has some sort of interesting quest, and it'll just kind of put what you're doing on hold and set off on this new quest. And I actually kind of like that. There's like a kind of a spontaneity, maybe, and just more of an unpredictability to it. Versus in Oblivion, I always felt like everything was very scripted, I guess is the right word. You know, I've got this quest active, and I know I'm just going to finish this before I start anything else, and I don't know, it just feels a little bit more free in Morrowind. And I just kind of like that a little bit better. Not to say that Oblivion is a bad game, obviously. It's not. But I think that exploration and kind of free roaming are more encouraged in Morrowind, and because of that, it feels a little bit more immersive to me, and I actually kind of prefer it, to be honest. I think I've mentioned this before, but usually I'll play Oblivion, you know, for a while, and then I'll just kind of be like, well, that was fun, but I'm probably not going to be coming back to this soon. Morrowind, when I play it, I really get into it, and I play it a lot, and I go and explore a lot of places, you know. But I don't know, that's just me. I'm sure a lot of people really prefer the fast travel thing, because there are some times in Morrowind that it can get really irritating when you have to, it says something like, go find this dungeon that is west of such and such city, and that's literally all they give you to work with. So there are definitely some frustrating parts. Right now I'm demonstrating basically how you can go into the NPC's houses and steal their stuff. As long as they don't see you taking it, they are none the wiser. This is the bookseller right here. I'm just kind of going around all the merchants. Even though she sells books, she will actually buy paper and any magic scrolls. So if you just want to have all the NPCs disposition up, that's something that you can sell to this person. I was checking to see if there were any skill books, but I didn't see any. Basically the way that, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, or if I mentioned this while I was playing and not being recorded. Basically the way to tell if it's a skill book is if it's worth, you know, a certain amount. Generally the books that are worth 200 or more are going to be skill books. They're generally either a skill book or like a rare book or a unique book. Usually anything that's like 50 gold books are usually not
What say you, Imperial?
not really that special or anything. This guy actually has a crossbow, which is kind of a neat item. In that with the bow, you know, you have to pull it back, and it's kind of finicky where you aim the arrows. With the crossbow, you can just kind of pull the trigger, and it'll go the same way every time. I don't end up buying it, but I may get one eventually. I don't think that the crossbows are as powerful as the bows. Or at least some of the bows. Now, before I go to the Fighters Guild, I did remember that there's actually a special item in this guard tower. It's a unique sword. Well, there are actually two of them in the game. But it's a really good starter weapon. It's actually right here. It's called the Sword of White Woe. Does pretty good damage, has a drain health enchantment on it, and a lot of durability. It's basically just a really, really good item to start out with. The problem is that there's a guard right here, and generally you're not going to be able to swipe it without him noticing you. And I'm going to try quite a few times here to get this. Unfortunately, you can't really reach it from here, unless you have a telekinesis spell, which unfortunately I don't. I think I'm actually going to go looking for one. Yeah, I'm going to run to the Mages Guild and see if I can find a telekinesis spell. And what those do, as you can guess, is they let you grab objects from a distance. And that would mean that I could, you know, stand on the other side of the room where he couldn't see me, and then grab the sword. Oh, right there, what I was pointing out is that I have, excuse me, I have 11,000 gold right now. The sword is actually worth 17,000, I think. So if I were to steal it, my bounty would be 17,000, and I actually couldn't afford to pay that. I was just checking here if there was a potion that had a telekinesis. I'm not actually sure if you can have telekinesis on a potion. But I figured what the heck, I'd check for it. Unfortunately, I did not find what I was looking for here. So I'm going to, by the way, this is us, or me. We're looking pretty cool, I think, compared to what we started out looking like. Alright, checking the Mages Guild. A lot of these people will only barter or train with faction members. So it could be that some of these people actually had, you know, a telekinesis spell or something, but you know, wouldn't deal with me because I wasn't a Mage Guild member. Got no telekinesis there. Got no telekinesis here. Not here, but I am going to pick up a few of these spells, even if I'm actually unable to use them because my magic isn't high enough. When you go to enchant, the effects that you can put on are actually the ones that you've learned as spells. So say I want to do enchant enchant an amulet with unlock. Well, I'd need to know an unlock spell in order to do that, even if I was just having an NPC enchant it for me. And then next to the spells on the right, it'll show the percentage chance of them activating. I think for most of the spells I just bought, the chance is like 0 or 10% or something like that. So we got no levitation spells here. So what I'm actually going to try now is the trick that I used before, taunting someone. Or did I use this already? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since before. Well, anyway, basically you taunt someone until they attack you, and then if they attack you first, then it counts as them assaulting you, and it's not a crime if you kill them. So basically you go back and forth between bribing and taunting, because bribing will raise their disposition so that they'll talk to you. And then taunting, if you get enough successes, will make them attack you. Now this actually ends up taking me several tries because I didn't count on the fact that I was like level 2, I think, and the guard is a lot stronger than me. So I think I end up dying quite a few times here. But not to spoil anything, however, I do succeed in the end. This can take a while depending upon how high your speechcraft skill is. And the good news is that even though you're bribing him, you're giving him this gold, if he dies, excuse me, he'll still have the gold on his corpse, so you can take it back. And you basically always want to bribe 100 because 10 gold doesn't do that much. And 1,000 gold is way too much. You can get pretty much anybody by bribing him 100 gold. Alright, so now he's going to attack me. And I'm going to basically get horribly destroyed. I'm going to use this spell on him, but it's not going to do me much good. And there I go. So my apologies, I probably should have edited some of these out, but I didn't think of it beforehand, so yeah. We're gonna see quite a few deaths here. Right here I'm basically just trying to see if there's some way that I can reach the sword from here, but it's not happening. And, you know, honestly, I'm not a master at this game or anything, so it's quite possible that there is a way that I just don't know about. So if you're screaming at your computer screen right now about how stupid I'm being or something. So I can almost reach it from there, but not quite. I'm going to try and sneak it, but guards are pretty sharp-eyed, so not going to work. I'll just tell you that now. If you're planning on trying to grab something when you're right next to a guard, you better hope your sneak is at like 100, because I'm going to go ahead and save right before I do it, but it's not going to work. What I'm doing right now is waiting for the sneak icon to appear in the bottom left corner. That'll actually appear when you're hidden. There it is right now. But even if you're hidden and you grab it, there's still like a dice roll, kind of, based upon your sneak ability. So yep, he saw me. And my bounty is now 17,000 because I stole a $17,000, or not dollar, 17,000 gold item. Fortunately, I'm just going to load my game here because I know that I'm not going to beat him. Not when he kind of surprises me like that. What I'm trying to do at this point is get his back to be... get it so that his back is towards the sword, which isn't going to do that much, but I'm going to try and use the thief ring, which is like speed, agility, and personality plus 5 for 15 or 30 seconds or something like that. But it's not going to be enough to let me grab the sword. Sorry that I'm spoiling this, but what I'll probably do, since I didn't edit this portion out, is put like an annotation or something in the description that lets you click to after this is done, because this part will probably get a little bit tedious. But if you want to watch me fail multiple times, that's cool. Kind of like glitching up now. And yep, he got me again. So I think what I'm doing now is I'm going to get some better equipment so that I can hopefully take him on. I'm going to go ahead and go to the Mages Guild and pick up a couple attack... excuse me, gosh. Pick up a couple attack scrolls. That whistling surprised me, not only while I was playing, but just now as well. So I'm going to get a shield scroll that I think I explained what shield does before. It basically just adds points to your armor for a certain amount of time. I'm getting a healing scroll and a frost damage scroll. In hindsight, I probably should have gotten a few more, but this does in fact end up being enough. But I think I still have to try it a couple times to pull it off.
Wealth beyond measure.
So I'm going to save. I'm going to activate the shield. Go ahead and equip the frost damage scroll. And then I'm going to go ahead and taunt him into attacking me again. The fact that you can bribe pretty much everybody so easily kind of makes speechcraft pointless, but you know, whatever. It's kind of like the opposite of speechcraft in Oblivion, where it was almost entirely skill-based. I mean, you can make anybody like you, even if your speechcraft was at hardly anything. And hey, it's taken forever, but there we go. Alright, so wait for him to attack me first. Unfortunately, he's going to knock me down and give him a couple free attacks. Moving on to the fire. Sorry, the other ice spell. Because he's doing so much damage to me, it is actually knocking me down. And that's, not so good. And he's going to kill me. I actually would have had him that time had he not knocked me down twice in a row. That time I forgot to restore my fatigue, so I went ahead and loaded. I definitely don't want to go into a fight with a strong enemy on 0 fatigue. I think I was just explaining what the shield did there or something.
You may speak.
Back to this again. It does get a little tedious, as I'm sure you've noticed, but I'm assuming most people have probably clicked the annotation by now, so... I would include something special, you know, for those who stuck around, but then I would be, you know, making people feel like they had to watch it or something, so... Sorry. Alright, so we're trying this again. We got 2 frost spells out. I'm gonna go ahead and use a healing scroll. Unfortunately, I get stuck on the bed here, and it's gonna get me again. Yep. Although I did almost have him that time, so... I was hopeful at this point. I knew that I could pull it off, It's just going to take a little trial and error. Alright. So this time we started with the fire spell. I'm going to go ahead and activate the frost spells now. But I'm going to get knocked down again, and I'm dead. Again.
Wealth beyond measure.
This is probably the longest this is definitely the longest it's taken me in this series so far to get something like this. I think I had to try like 2 or 3 times at most from the other stuff. But taking on a guard at this level, taking on a guard any time actually is pretty difficult. They tend to be pretty strong. And taking one on at this level is kind of stupid, honestly. But again, I knew I could pull it off. It was just going to be difficult. Still going, still going. If you haven't clicked the annotation by now, then Hey, my speechcraft increased. I love that one little insult that he shoots back at you. You click on it and he goes, "No, I believe that was your mother." It's like, wow, nice one. Fortunately, I'm gonna get knocked down again and killed. Actually, the main hazard on this guy is or the main hazard in this situation was getting knocked down.
Wealth beyond measure.
Activate the shield spell. Equip the frost spell. And we're going to start this all over again. If I do ever encounter another situation like this in a future episode, I'll be sure to I'll be sure to either edit it out or condense it in some way. So I'm sure at this point anyone who's still watching is probably bored out of their minds. Still going. Alright. So we got one frost spell out. 2 frost spells out. Now I'm going to do something intelligent here. I'm going to go ahead and give myself an invisibility potion. Use some healing. Equip another attack spell. Another attack spell. And I actually have an invisibility scroll as well. Can use that. Get him to run away because he doesn't know where I am now. And I'm going to run down here to the very bottom. Hope he doesn't notice me. And I'm going to go ahead and use my healing scroll. And now we're just going to fight it out. And finally. So we can take all our gold back now that we bribed him with. And this is what he has equipped here is bone mold armor. We'd actually equip this, except for it is medium armor, which I don't have a proficiency in. Mostly because medium armor becomes kind of useless towards the end of the game. I'm just a little bit overweight here, so I'm gonna drop this stuff and go sell it, and then come back. But first, we're gonna go grab a Sword of White Woe. And we're gonna be over encumbered. As I said, this is a unique weapon. Technically there are two of them. There's one that's in a guard tower in another city, which I believe is Nisus. I think that's the city it's in. And if I remember correctly, that one's actually easier to get. I think it's just like in an area where you can hide from the guard or something like that. But, whatever, I felt like getting this one, so... Besides, we haven't made our way to Nisus yet, so... When we get there, maybe we'll go grab the other sword. So this sword, has a pretty good attack power. It's about, I think like 26 for an attack, any attack. And then it also has an enchantment on it that will drain the enemy's health over time after you hit them. So all in all, it's pretty good. Gonna go ahead and get rid of our old sword since we don't need it. That's another example of the merchant equipping the items that you sell them if they're better than what they currently have. Actually, it's not so much if they're better, it's really if they're more expensive. Alright, so we're gonna head back, grab the other equipment. Close the door because OCD. I'm sure some of you understand. And I've got 0 bounty because I pulled that off. Pardon the expression, but I pulled it off like a boss. Now, if any of you haven't immediately clicked off the video, we're gonna get going with some quests pretty soon.
What is this about?
gonna buy some of these repair hammers because when you find the Sword of White Woe, it's actually at like 60% durability or something like that. Alright, so now it's repaired and ready to go. And now we're going to head on over to the Fighters Guild and get started with some quests. Be a nice change of pace from our wandering around aimlessly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is who you want to talk to if you're going to join. You can read their rules, but, you know, it's basically don't kill people from the Fighters Guild. Don't steal from people in the Fighters Guild. Don't talk about the Fighters Guild. No. Once you join, you can take equipment out of this chest here, including a bunch of repair hammers and some restore health potions. Very handy. We're going to leave those hammers in there because we're already carrying a bunch and they tend to be pretty heavy. So the first quest, basically what we're going to be doing is going to this lady's house and killing some rats. Now I did think it was on this side of the river, but it's actually on the other side. As I've said, it's been a little while since I've actually played this game. So I don't always remember exactly where everything is. It's kind of the case with a lot of the games I've been playing and posting for my channel. Yeah, they're games that I might have played to death, you know, years ago, but don't exactly remember everything about them, which honestly is what makes them fun, kind of rediscovering them in a way. So talk to her about cave rats. She gives you a storage key. You can go in and kill them.
What do you want?
You might want to restore your fatigue first, though, or else this will happen. And while we're in here, we'll steal one of her books, because it's one of those 36 Lessons of Vivek. Vivek, by the way, is one of the gods of Morrowind. And, spoiler alert, but you actually get to meet him later on in the campaign. So now I'm going to go ahead and wait, restore my fatigue. And, not too hard, right? But while we're here, we might as well, steal all her stuff. Alright,
What do you want?
so now we can head on back to the Fighters Guild and grab our next quest. Also, this is awesome. Yeah. It almost looks like you're doing football drills or something, I don't know. No worries, because in episodes to come there will be increasing levels of silliness. So the two things essentially that you can ask for are orders and advancement. Orders, pretty self-explanatory. You get missions, quests. Advancement is based on a couple things. It's based on your abilities. So you might be required to have long blade to a certain level, or heavy armor at a certain level. And it's also based upon how many quests you completed. So you could meet all the requirements skill-wise, but not have enough quests under your belt. Or you could do a lot of Fighters Guild quests, but not have your abilities quite up to snuff. We can also sleep here legally now that we're members. And there I go again with the we. I've been saying that a lot, but I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks it's weird. Seems to me that a lot of commentators will say we. And I could get into a whole existential discussion, but I think we'll save that for another time. So basically what this next quest that I'm on, I'm supposed to be killing some egg poachers who are basically stealing eggs, obviously, from an egg mine that's right down the river here. This is another pretty easy quest. In fact, after killing that guard, most of the stuff we're going to do in this video is going to seem pretty easy. However, that is in fact the mine over there, but before we go in, we are going to go ahead and hop in this ancestral tomb. Because why not? Notice that the door is trapped. And now these guys just look like pushovers now that we got some decent equipment. And unfortunately, I am over-encumbered. The reason being all those repair hammers that I'm holding. So I'm kind of debating what to get rid of here, and then I realize I'm holding quite a few arrows, so I can get rid of 80 or so, and get quite a bit of weight. Rather, get quite a bit of weight off of what I'm carrying right now. Now, because I think I've mentioned this before, the loot in chests and in dungeons and tombs will, it'll basically level with you. It would seem like, you know, you wouldn't want to go into any dungeons or anything until you're a higher level, you know, so you can find some better random loot. Alright, here what I'm doing is hotkeying the Sword of White Woe, so that if I unequip it, I can just press the 1 key on my keyboard, and it'll instantly re-equip it. Very handy if you have a, you know, a primary weapon that you're always using. Anyways, as I was saying, see, I seem to get sidetracked even when I'm talking. As scenarios would say, my voice, or my thoughts are a little bit sporadic. think that's something he says. At any rate, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, because the loot in dungeons levels with you to an extent, you would think that, you wouldn't want to go in any dungeons until you are at a higher level so you can get better loot. Well, there are actually so many individual caves and dungeons in this that it really doesn't matter. I mean, we've barely even gone anywhere so far, and, kind of stuck to the southwest corner, and we've already hit tons of dungeons and stuff. I mean, they're everywhere. So it's really not a big worry. This is an egg mine. I think it's the first one we've gone in. They're scattered. They're scattered pretty much all over the place, and generally there isn't anything really useful in them, with a few exceptions. These things will actually not attack you, but the little ones will attack you. Obviously, if you attack them first, they'll come after you, but generally it's just a good idea to leave them alone. The workers will actually, like the guys that were at the entrance to the mine, they'll actually ask you, don't attack them because we need them for harvesting the eggs or whatever. And then they say that the reason that the little Quama foragers, the worms, don't attack them is because they're used to their scent, which is kind of interesting. And obviously these are the poachers. Otherwise they probably wouldn't just be running up to us with pickaxes and attacking us. Unfortunately for them, this is not Minecraft, and the pickaxe is not very good. I think the miner's pick is actually, it's pretty rare as weapons go, but it's not exactly useful, so there's not really any reason to take it. I mean, obviously you're not going to see it in a weapon shop. This thing right here is like a stronger version. It actually looks like one of the workers with the foragers as its head. And these will shoot poison and electricity, so they're quite a bit harder. Alrighty, so now we're going to head back to Balmora. This is perhaps one of those situations in which one might wish that they had the fast travel from Oblivion. This is actually the wrong way. Just leads to a different area of the mine. But there's no need for us to go there, so... Anyways, times like this where you kind of wish that you were able to just click on a location and travel there, when basically it's just a long walk back. And this isn't even really a long walk, I mean, it's right up the, right upstream. And this guy tells us everything's smooth since you got rid of those egg poachers 5 seconds ago.
Alright, I'm listening.
Gonna go ahead and stylishly run around in third-person mode, but only for a little while. As I've said, I'm kind of liking the the Knights Templar-ish look that we've got going right now. It's pretty nice all in all. We're gonna go sell a few things before we go back, I believe. I'm gonna add all this stuff and then go to sell it. And then I'm going to realize that I haven't waited 24 hours and her money is not restored. So I'm going to have to cancel and head on over to a different merchant. But for now we're just going to go ahead and go back, complete the quest. Oh, I think right here what I'm demonstrating is that you can actually fast travel using the console. But what you do is you press the tilde key, the little squiggly above, probably above your tab key, and then you type COC and then the name of the place you want to travel to. If it's more than one word, you're gonna have to put it in quotes. So like in this one, I put COC, then in quotes Satanin. And if I were to press enter, that would actually teleport me to Satanin. But we're not going to be doing any of that in this Let's Play. Because what would be the point, right? Also, you can sell the items that you get out of the supply chest to the merchants in the Fighters Guild, which is kind of funny. Right there, I was basically just getting rid of some repair hammers so I'd have more more space. And here I'm trying to remember where Caldera is, because we're supposed to go to a Caldera mine and kill some people. And I'm thinking I remembered where it was. So I was going to go ahead and go back and ask where it was, but she tells me to check in Caldera and they'll give me directions to the mine. Well, unfortunately, I did not remember where Caldera was. So there's going to be another portion in this video that I probably should have edited out, where I'm kind of wandering around for a while trying to find out where Caldera is. I suppose at this point I will put another annotation that will allow you to skip to the point where I actually realize, oh, it was right under my nose the whole time. Before we leave for that, there's actually another quest that you can do in Balmora pretty easily. It's not, it doesn't have anything, well, that's not entirely right. It does relate to a certain faction, but you don't have to be a part of the faction to do it. Basically, what you're going to want to do is come up here. You're going to have to lockpick your way into this house. Now, my lockpick skill isn't high enough, but I do keep all those unhinging scrolls around, so go ahead and use those to get in. Now when you come in here, you're going to notice that the maid is in this room, and she tells you that Raylan Hlalu has been murdered. There's a Lessons of Vivek book right there, but you can't really get it without her noticing, so I figured whatever, I'll get it later. Come down here, and he's been murdered. Also, while you're in here, you're going to want to take this vintage brandy. It's on the shelf here. Because it is actually part of, I think, a Thieves Guild quest, which doesn't really matter for us because we're doing the Fighters Guild. But why not take it, right? Just in case. An interesting little fact about this this area is that because his corpse is essential to the this quest, you actually can't dispose of it, and it won't disappear. Which in effect means that you can go in and use him as a storage container, as morbid as that would seem. Because you can, as far as I know, infinitely add weight to yourself or to an NPC's corpse, and then it'll just say, you know, you're overweight and can't move, but you can pretty much infinitely add weight. So, yeah, you can basically use him as a never-ending container, if you're cool with doing that to a corpse. Alright, so you talk to her again, and basically what she tells you is that she saw the murderer. He was a dark elf with red hair that's in a mohawk. Now you could ask around. You could go around and search. Excuse me. Or you could be like me and remember where he is, which is probably the more attractive option. What you're basically going to want to do is come over here to the council club. You're going to turn to your left upon entering the door, after restoring your fatigue, of course. And we see a dark elf with a red mohawk. That's going to be our man. Our elf. Whatever. Ask him about the murder, and he tells you it's some other guy, this Argonian, who is part of the main quest. It's not him. So what we're going to want to do to this guy is taunt him into attacking us. This very familiar little scenario here. Fortunately, this guy is nowhere near as tough as a guard, so we're going to get him in one shot, instead of having to die and reload, you know, 50 billion times. Always make sure to let them get in the first attack, and then you can pretty much just go to town owning their faces. That was so much easier. Take the gold. Don't have enough weight to carry these repair hammers, so we're just going to set them on the ground, as well as this dwarven war axe, because it's fairly valuable. I don't think I ever end up coming back to get those, but at least I know that they will be there if I ever need them. Maybe in a future episode we'll pay a return visit to the council club. So now, interestingly, I guess just the fact that you killed him means that you've proven he's guilty. So you can go ahead and go up here to the House Hlalu Council, and they will reward you with 1,000 gold for killing the murderer. And also put in the good word for you if you want to join House Hlalu. We're not going to do that right now. It's one of the three great houses of Morrowind. There's House Hlalu, House Redoran, and House Telvanni. Basically, right now I'm circling where I think Caldera is, and that's completely wrong. Anyways, so there's Hlalu, Redoran, and Telvanni. And basically, how it works out is they each control a kind of a section of the map. This kind of area is mostly Hlalu. The desert areas are mostly Redoran, and then the kind of coastal areas are mostly Telvanni. They all have their kind of distinctive architecture. And then in addition to that, each faction kind of has its own specialties. So Hlalu is basically stealth, Redoran is basically fighting, and Telvanni is basically magic. So you don't have to be obviously specialized in any of those abilities to join the house, but they are exclusive in that we're going to level up again here. Anyway, the houses are exclusive in that eventually, later on enough in those quests, you will get to a point where you have to, for instance, kill a bunch of members of another house, meaning that you would be kicked out of that house if you were in it. So, say you were doing the House Redoran quests, I think there's a point where you have to kill a bunch of Telvanni. Well, if you were a member of the Telvanni and then you did that, obviously you're going to get kicked out, and also end up killing some of the people that would be important for giving you quests were you in Telvanni. So for that reason, joining which house you join is actually, you know, exclusive.
Keep moving, keep moving.
And I think later on, maybe after we finish all the Fighters Guild quests, we'll go ahead and join probably House of Redoran. There's some interesting stuff that happens in those quests. So we're back with our old buddy Aril here, selling him some stuff, just like old times. These restore fatigue potions are usually not that useful. I mean, you can usually get by without them, so I usually just sell them. I'm gonna go ahead and drop off that vintage brandy. Just decorate the place a little bit. Because nothing makes a better decoration than alcohol, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and set off for Caldera, which unfortunately is in the opposite direction of where I'm going at this point. I'm like, hey, let's go to Vivek. That's the southernmost point, right? Vivek is actually a pretty interesting area. This whole area that I was actually circling right here is Vivek. It's actually in the water. These big floating structures, if I will turn, these things right here, these big structures are like floating, I think they're called like cantons or something. And there are just a bunch of those hooked together. Each of them has like a different purpose. So there's one for each of the great houses. There's an arena, which you can't really compete in like in Oblivion. There's a foreign quarter. There's like a prison, I think. Some other ones. So now we're at, we just took a ship, which is another method of fast travel. We're in Ebonheart right now. Pretty cool place. It's kind of like the headquarters for the Imperial Legion. kind of like a military town. And I'm like, hey, Caldera's pretty close to here, right? Well, it's actually not. Unfortunately, I do realize this right away when I see that it's not on the sign. And I'm thinking, maybe Caldera's actually closer to Balmora. So we're going to sit here and ponder for a minute, and then we're going to head back there, which is where it in fact is. That actually didn't take too horribly long to figure out. I don't think I'm going to add the annotation after all. Unless enough people yell at me, call me dirty names, which you don't really have to do, really. I'll be perfectly happy if you don't do that. We will find ourselves going to Vivek later on. I think there is a Fighters Guild in Vivek, so we'll be going there. And then also for the main story, you're gonna have to go to Vivek. Alright, so we're going back to Balmora. And we're basically gonna walk out the north side of town.
We make a special trip just for you. Say low, right?
Again, we're gonna stylishly run around and run around in third person for a while. Sorry about the throat clearing. My throat's feeling kind of dry today. Probably need to get me some water. I'm gonna go ahead and jump, because that's how the pros do it. Actually, at a certain point, jumping, once your acrobatics get to a certain point, jumping does become faster than running. Now there's actually a corpse over here that's part of a quest. It involves moon sugar and skooma, which I believe I've talked about before. And we don't really want to get mixed up with those types of folks, so we're going to stay away for now. I think that quest does actually end up giving you someone who will buy moon sugar from you. But I don't usually like to bother with that anyway, so... And there it says Caldera. Got the dang wildlife attacking us at every corner. These things right here are called bull netches. They're like giant land sky jellyfish. They will actually not attack you unless you attack them first, so it's generally a good idea to just leave them alone, because I think they shoot poison at you, and that's rather unpleasant. Now there is somewhat of an Easter egg in this town, although it's not really hidden, so I don't know if it was intentional that it wasn't hidden, or or what, but if you go up here, there's actually a scamp who will barter with you, and he has 5,000 gold, which is a lot for a merchant in this game. So you can sell some pretty top dollar items to him. And his bartering is actually not based on disposition. You'll notice when you click him he doesn't have any disposition at all. that means that he's not going to be affected by, you know, your personality score, how much he likes you. There's actually another secret merchant, a mud crab merchant, that has 10,000 gold. It's kind of hidden away on an island in the southern part, and he's very, very, very useful once you start getting items like glass items, ebony items, items that are worth, you know, 10,000 or more. I'm not sure when, but we will eventually be getting to him. Basically what you want to do with him, because he's so far out of the way, there are a set of spells that are called Mark and Recall. And basically what they do is you can, I'm not sure what I'm circling here. Basically you can use Mark on a certain spot, and then that spot will be saved, essentially, so that whenever you use the Recall spell, it'll teleport you to that area, no matter where it is. So basically what we do is we combine that with the intervention spells, which there's Divine Intervention and Almsivi Intervention, and basically what they do is when you use them, they'll teleport you to the nearest temple. So wherever you are, they will just teleport you to whatever is the nearest temple. This guy's got a quest for us, but we're going to come back to the Naked Man later. It really sounds a lot more entertaining than it is when I say it like that. Anyway, so the intervention spells will, you know, just calculate what the nearest temple is and teleport you there. So what you end up doing, and again, I'll explain this in more detail and demonstrate it when we decide to go for the Mudcrab Merchant. But you basically end up finding him, and he's pretty hard to find if you don't know where he is. He just says Mudcrab over his name. And the only real way to know that he's the merchant is, you know exactly what island he's on, and the fact that he doesn't attack you. But what we end up doing is, right here I'm just checking the names of the people I'm supposed to kill. But anyway, we end up using the Mark spell in front of the Mud Crab. And then anytime we have a bunch of really valuable items, you know, so much so that we couldn't sell them to a normal merchant, we'll use the Recall spell, take us to the Mudcrab Merchant, we'll do all our transactions, and then we'll use an intervention spell. It'll take us to the nearest temple. And the temples are usually in towns, so from there we can fast travel, you know, back to wherever we wanted to go. It's actually pretty efficient. And it gets really handy later in the game when you start getting all these powerful weapons and artifacts, and you know, the nearest merchant only has about 5,000 gold, and you're trying to sell an item that's worth 100,000 gold. You kind of end up using the same strategy that I showed earlier, where you hand them the really expensive item and then you take from them a bunch of less expensive items and then slowly, you know, sell them back over time. And it gets easier once, with the Mudcrab especially, once he has more items that you've sold him. So say you need to sell an item that's worth 50,000. Well, if he has 10,000 gold, if he has 4 or 5 items that are worth 10,000, it's going to be a lot easier than if you're working with, you know, one item. But again, we'll get to that when we get to it. And now I'm actually going to end up going into the mine here. This is an ebony mine. So there is in fact ebony. You don't want to take it though, because it's considered a crime, and there are guards in here who will kill you if you take it.
What is this?
Checking the names again. What I didn't do was pay attention, because it actually does say in the journal that they're in a cave north of the ebony mine. So you can see this is the ebony here. It's worth 200 per unit, I guess you would call it, but it weighs about, I think it weighs 10 per, so it's really not that, its weight to value is not that high. So I'm going to go ahead and wander through here a little bit. Alright, so we're going to be on our way here. Now I'm going to go ahead and check my journal and notice that it actually says they're hiding in a cave in the hills north of Caldera Mine. I'm not sure exactly how I missed that originally, but yeah, it was kind of a silly mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and there's actually an ancestral tomb around here. I'm going to go ahead and raid that before heading north. So we're going to run in here. Unfortunately, because there were enemies nearby, I wasn't able to restore my fatigue for coming in here, but it's not too big a deal. The repair prongs here do basically the same thing as the repair hammers. They're just not as good, but they weigh less. Those lesser bone walkers, I'm sure I've spoken about them before. They're really not a big deal. It's the greater bone walkers that you want to watch out for, because, as I've said, they will drain your strength. That is not something you want. Really should have restored my fatigue. This door is actually trapped, so watch out for that. You might miss that if you're not paying attention. And then I remember that my sword is hotkeyed. Fortunately, I keep forgetting that. Arrows are usually pretty easy to dodge. Now, this guy here actually had somewhat of a rare drop on him. Those are enchanted arrows. I think the ones that he had were frost arrows. Once you get up to a reasonable level, there's a chance that all the skeleton archers will spawn with some sort of enchanted arrows. And those are a pretty good find because not only are they more effective than regular arrows if you want to use them, but they actually sell for a pretty decent amount considering how little that they weigh. So you usually will want to grab those. I went back to check this helm right here, but it's actually not as good as what I already had, so... So we are on our way to the hills. So in order to get back, I think the easiest way is probably just to go through the houses so you can get up to the top level. Having a higher acrobatics score actually makes it very much so easier to get around. That's kind of an awkward way I just said that, but it makes it much easier to get around if you can jump higher because you can get over a lot of obstacles. So, go figure, there's the cave right there. And we're going to talk to this guy. Ask him about the Telvanni agents, and he goes, he hasn't heard of them, but now that you mention it, and then he will try and kill you. Because he is in fact in league with them. It's pretty much a pushover though. That shield is actually medium armor, so we're not going to take it. Actually, most of the guys that we're fighting here look like pushovers compared to the stupid guard that we had to fight earlier. In fact, when you run down here, we've got 3 different enemies that attack you all at once. And I'm more or less completely destroying them. There's 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. Compared to that guard, these people are just incredibly easy. Now we are in a bandit cave, so why not continue in deeper, right? Technically right now I could return and turn in the quest, but I'm gonna keep going a little bit. Might as well loot this place while we're here. Pretty good amount of gold in this place. I'm not really taking those anymore because, again, they weigh quite a bit. Got a trapped lock chest here. All that for 1 gold, right on. Or a few gold. And again, of course, there are slaughterfish. And now I was debating whether to go down to the bottom, see if there was some sort of chest or something. But I ultimately decided that it wouldn't be worth wasting my water-breathing potion on, because there's probably nothing that good down there anyway. Alright, so we're out of here. Now we're going to go ahead and go back to the naked Nord guy who was standing out here before. And he is, in fact, over here. So now what he says is there's a festering witch who bewitched him and stole all of his stuff, including an enchanted axe. That's basically it. And he asks you if you'll help him find her. So why not? And he says he believes she's still camped in the northwest, which is where he left her. So we're gonna go looking for her. And we've got an orc over here who is involved with another quest. We're gonna come back to that a little bit later. Getting stuck on the stupid trees here. Got a bandit cave over there, but we don't really want to go in there while he's following us in case he dies. And there's someone standing over here. This is someone that you definitely want to know about if you're playing this game. She will ask you to escort her to a certain city. I don't actually remember which one it is. And the reward she gives you for doing this is a pair of boots called the Boots of Blinding Speed. Now these will actually raise your speed by 300 points, meaning you will run extremely fast. But the trade-off is it blinds you completely, so you can't see a thing. Now you can counteract this effect if you have a resist magic enchantment. So, probably later on, I'll enchant something that has constant effect, resist magic, and then get those boots because they make getting around so much easier. So we'll definitely be coming back here. In fact, in the future I might just grab the boots, even though I don't need them yet. One interesting thing you can do is if you're playing like a Breton, the race, they actually have 50% resistance to magic just as their base stat. So you are only blinded 50% if you put on the boots. Which is pretty handy. I think the last character I played was actually a Breton, and getting those boots is just so incredibly helpful. So the witch he was talking about is actually up here. You talk to her, and she basically tells you she's actually a healer. He got a little bit too familiar with her, and so she cast a spell on him and took his axe just to teach him a lesson. She says, you tell him to go meet her in a couple days, and she'll give him back his stuff. Now when you talk to him, he basically says, no, I want to kill her. Are you with me or against me? Now if you say that you believe the healer, he'll attack you. And since he has no equipment, this is going to be a pretty easy fight. Although apparently his hand-to-hand is pretty high because he's doing a lot of damage to fatigue. But it still doesn't really matter because he dies. She basically says, it's a shame. And she gives you some potions. Now basically I could just kill her and take the axe, but I don't really care, so we'll just leave. And hey, Dark Brotherhood attacks again. We're gonna have a little bit of an easier time killing him now that we have this better equipment. Might as well take all his stuff, it's easy money. Now we're going to go ahead and head back to that orc. Basically what he wants you to do is take a note to his friend because he did something that he won't tell you that means he can't return to Caldera. He says he's hiding by the tree, near a rock, near another rock. And he's the best at hiding that there is. So, we're gonna walk back to Caldera and deliver the note. This quest isn't really hard, it's just kind of irritating. making sure I find the right person here. Looks like Bashuk Grabat, or something of that nature. I'm actually not fluent in Orcish. So I'm assuming here that this orc is actually in the manor, Gorak Manor, which was home to all those orcs, as well as the creeper merchant. Or the merchant named Creeper. That'd be pretty funny. There's actually a merchant that was a creeper, like from Minecraft. Be kind of frightening, I suppose. None of these people have the right name. But while we're here, we can sell some of our stuff to Creeper because he buys items. Again, I'm going to take back the Dark Brotherhood helm so I can keep it as kind of a trophy. Pretty morbid, but yeah. Go ahead and get rid of those enchanted arrows as well. And he also buys potions, so... Doesn't buy ingredients, though. So we just made about 4.5k there. Not bad. So now what I'm going to do is go and check all the pubs and the merchants in town, see if the orc we're looking for is in there. That little tapestry there, I think, is a result of the texture replacers I'm using. Pretty sure that's not in the vanilla.
Go ahead. Go ahead. How can I help?
Go ahead and see what he has. It's actually got some glass arrows, which is kind of an interesting find. And those Imperial Steel Greaves are actually better than what we have, so... meh, might as well. Those silver darts are pretty fun. They're basically the same exact thing as throwing stars. But I don't want to spend the money on them. Nothing here that we really want, so... there's actually an armorer here as well. So we'll head in here. And he's got some interesting stuff. Including a silver helm. And an Imperial, I think it's Duke's Guard cuirass, which is better than what we have right now. So this is a pretty cool find. So we're going to get a little upgrade for our armor. Now, we're not really going to match anymore, but this is in fact better than what we had, so it's all good. I realize the silver helm is actually a little bit better than what we had, so we'll go with that. Looks a little strange, but, you know, it's all good, it's all good. Looking a little bit mismatched there, but not too bad. So I'm gonna go back and check Gorak Manor again, just to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
Citizen. Cyrodiil.
And this is actually another one of those cases where I should have probably paid a little bit more attention. Because, in fact, she does own a house. Hand her the note. She basically says, take him this note. Tells me she's the best finder, and I'm probably not as good a finder as she is. We're basically just going to take him a note that says, stay where you are. We've actually got somebody else over here, but we're not going to bother with that. I don't want to get too sidetracked. Those things are actually hilarious. The owlet, or whatever they're called. It's basically just a mouth with legs. Another person over there. We're not going to get too sidetracked, though. head on back to the Orc and finish the quest, and that's going to be pretty much the end of this episode. Again, I apologize for screwing up and not having my microphone record this whole time. Next episode, we will be back to the live commentaries, fortunately, because this is kind of a chore, and I think much less entertaining. So look forward to that, even if these last 2 episodes were absolutely boring. Hopefully they will get better. Basically, you talk to this guy, and he says he will give you a present for helping him, and he says, here's your stupid rock, that's your present, ha ha ha, and it's actually a diamond. So hey, we made a little bit of gold here. Alright, I'm just going to save, and that's going to be it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It will get better from here on out, because it'll be back to live commentaries, and I will see you next time. Thanks.